In this video, we're going to see how to use the VLookup function in Excel. And what we're going to look at is an example of how to apply cost per unit for some fruit for a total cost estimate for shipment. So we've got these two tables. They have a similar key. So there's items that are consistent in each of our tables. So there's a set of items: apples, oranges, grapes, and bananas that we're looking for. We have one cost per unit table, so we have each of the item and their cost per pound, and what we want to do is translate this into our total cost estimate. So if we're looking at our overall shipment for each of our items that were shipped, we have our quantity. We need to know the cost per pound. And if this was a large file, we wouldn't want to have to manually input the cost per pound in each of these cells. So we can actually use VLookup, which stands for vertical lookup, to add the cost per pound from our cost per unit table. So to use the VLookup function, it's equals VLookup. We start the parentheses. We want to look up the item apple. That's in cell A2. That's our first component of our function. We want to go look up the table array in our cost per unit tab. So clicking on that tab, we want columns A and B. Now it's very important that our first column in our array is the item that we're going to match. So the apple, orange, grape, banana labels need to be in our first column. So they need to be in column A, and we do have that in this case. The next part of the function is we need to tell which column we want returned to us. We want the second column, that's column B, to be given. Once we match apple, we want it to tell us the cost per pound is $1.51. And then the last part of this equation, we can tell it whether or not we want an approximate match or an exact match. I want to make sure we exactly match each of these fruit items, so I'm going to use false. And so we do see that for the apple, that returns a cost of $1.51 per pound. And we can drag that equation down, fill that down through our table, and associate the cost per pound with each item. So again, the VLookup, we need to have an item that matches. So we're going to match, in this case, the fruit from our cost estimate worksheet to our fruit in the cost per unit. And we want to return that cost per pound in this table. And finally, this would allow us to come up with the total cost of each of these shipments of fruit. So we can multiply the quantity, and these are the pounds, by the cost per pound. And that'll give us the total cost of each of these shipments for each fruit item.